committed to delivering fresh and high-quality game development courses, shaping the future aspiring developers. And last but not least, we have Mr. Jihad Jawabi, who is the CEO and co-founder of Lanterns, an independent video game studio focused on narrative video games, XR, and mocap services. During his career, Jihad explored the field of computer engineering as a developer first, UX designer, and then as a product manager before launching his own video game development company. So at this time, I'd like to remind our participants that if you have any questions, please share them in the chat box so that we may ask them in our Q&A session. Now, to set the context of how important this industry is to our audience, the video games industry is such a large and growing space. According to Newzoo, in 2022 alone, the global video games market hit $183 billion, with US and China consumer spending hit a total of $90 billion. The metaverse, which is now an upcoming sector, is also too big for companies to ignore, with its potential to generate up to $5 trillion in value by 2030, according to McKinsey. The global virtual reality market size was estimated at $59.9 billion in 2022 and is expected to grow at a CAGR rate of 27.5% from 2023 until 2030. And not to forget, the revenue in esports market is projected to reach almost $4 billion in 2023. Revenue is expected to show an annual growth rate of 8.21%, resulting in a projected market volume of $5.4 billion, and the number of users is expected to amount to 720 million users by 2027. So now to start, let's begin with the first question with regards to the general industry. So I will pose this question to any of these panelists. You may take it up the question. So what are the current trends in the gaming industry in your respective regions, and how do you anticipate these trends will evolve in the future?
Who want to go first, guys?
Okay. Anyone want to go first?
Himself.
Okay, I will go first.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, Mr. Amir, and thank you for the beautiful introduction. In our region, basically in the Middle East and North Africa, we are divided between 22 countries that has different infrastructure and different geographical locations and habit. So the current trend for us is mobile gaming because it is portable. It can be played on 4G network. So with countries that have low internet speed, it's still playable if you are doing multiplayer games. And also it is, battery packed. So if you have some power issue like we have in Syria, let's say, sometimes in Iraq, in Lebanon, so those games can also be played. So basically the last 3 years, we saw a big boost, mainly from games like PUBG Mobile, which changed the landscape of gaming with too much activation and involvement. And recently other mobile game like Wild Rift, and then recently Mobile Legends. In general, this is the trend that I see from my point of view. And beside that, the other continuous trend there is the free-to-play games. So games like League of Legends and Dota, and now recently Counter-Strike become also free, and also PUBG on the Steam. Those remain some of the top titles due to the purchasing power ability of the players in our region in general, excluding somehow the GCC area.
Okay, thank you. So Shah will be next.
Oh, sure. So I guess just representing or just talking about Southeast Asian games market. I mean, Southeast Asia is huge, right? There's many countries here, and as well, I think the difference is also different countries are at different stages of growth. You have a high income nation like Singapore, and then you have rising economies like Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia, and then you have huge differences in languages, right, and culture as well. And then you also have extremely emerging economies like Vietnam, Cambodia. So there's a huge diaspora and of huge different economic values for the people that are here. So yes, mobile games were huge as well, and is still growing because internet connection, surprisingly, South Asia is one of the very good things that we have here. 5G connection is something that is still is growing extremely fast in the region. But I think the increasing middle class as well is also contributing to PC games being still having good growth, as well as console games, right? So like you can see movements of like Sony and Xbox into the market, like taking it more seriously, even Nintendo, for the Southeast Asian market. So I think the opportunity for at least to sell within the region is huge, but the challenges are huge as well, because it's just like so many people, so many different languages, and so many ways of like paying and like distribution is of course is an interesting thing to talk about. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's a very complex situation here, but opportunity wise, it's amazing.
Yeah, maybe I'll go next. Yeah, I think it's basically the same trend in the North African region. I think we share a lot of commonalities. So yeah, basically mobile games are trending, but also I would say that here too, like once you have a gamer, there is like a study, I forgot the source, but they say like 8 out of 10 players are like 3 platforms. So they usually like you have like 3 devices. So the same games that they play on mobile, they play either on PC or like on consoles. So I think there is also still a room for console and PC games beside mobile, but mobile is more popular, I guess, and that's undeniable. Another trend maybe that's emerging, and it's actually worldwide, not specific to our region, is web-based game or Web3 games. And I think we will see more future content that is web-based for multiple of reasons. The emergence of cloud computing, basically, and also the trend of VR, even though like most people are still skeptical about it and they think the trend might die, but I believe with the recent launch of the new Meta Quest and maybe also the Apple headset, even though it's still expensive, it will keep the market at a certain level alive. And maybe when we have like future hardware that are affordable for people, we can say that this is a future trend to anticipate for our region as well.
Okay, I will go next. I believe Minecraft will be the next trend in a few months in North Africa. It's already a big trend in North America. They use Minecraft in another category in teaching university, primary school, and high school, teaching people how to code in Minecraft, how to learn physics, learn everything included in gameplay, how to practice the physics, the equations of maths in the game. So I believe Minecraft will be included in the future in North Africa and the Islamic community.
Okay, thank you everyone for the answer. So let's go to the next question. So in your opinion, what is the most critical support needed to ensure a holistic growth in the industry, such as funding or regulation? What kind of support are you receiving from your region or respective governments? So, Shah, maybe you want to start first?
Sure. So I guess specific to Malaysia, I think we're talking about private funding for the games industry is rare, right? Because I think this is a shared concern across many of the investors, like across the globe, because games itself is a high risk investment, right? Because it is unlike, I guess, software where you can like, the metrics is like, can I just pump in money and then can you just, what is the user acquisition cost for one user and how much they're going to pay? And it's like, it's maths, right? You can target it out. But for games, it's like, how do you make a game that is fun, right? Or even if it's a game is like not fun, it's derivative for other games, like you can still sell copies. Like it's not a maths, it's not a science yet. I mean, I know there are studios which try to do it, but it's hard, right? So private investment is tough, right? So what we do have happening here in Malaysia, the Malaysian government, I mean, through MDEC as well, the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, right? They do have funding that they give out, as in grant money and also matching grants. Also, there are also like government supported loan agencies or like soft loan agencies as well. So the funding is there, but it's also getting more and more, I guess, stringent in how they give out this funding, which is good, I guess, right? Because they don't want to be giving out funding and then nothing comes out of it. However, I think if you take a bigger look at the region itself, this is not the same case for other countries in the region. Like, I think it's much harder for Indonesians, for example, to get funding from the government. I guess it's not one of the agenda the government is pushing. Similar across like Thailand and whatnot. There's maybe some tax incentives, maybe in Singapore, but again, I'm not too familiar with the industry there, or at least the laws there. But yes, I think there's a few countries giving out like really pushing the mandate of like creative industry, digital creative industry, giving out the funds and stuff. But mostly is quite averse to that because again, it's just like high risk, right? But yeah.
Maybe I'll go next for this question. For our country, it's I believe it's pretty much the same. I'd say like always, the gaming industry is a war field actually for everyone. I believe in every country. It's one of the hardest industries, and only the people who are really passionate about it can resist and persist to make something. So in our case, there is nothing like big in terms of specific funds for the gaming industry specifically. Like Ruslan said, we have like some small funds for digital creative industries in general. So it's more of like the cinema 3D stuff. But sometimes as a gaming company, you are eligible. Sometimes I'd say there is nothing specific for it. And I believe there should be like specific fund for the video games. There are other incentive for companies in general. We have a program, for example, called the Startup Act, which is basically it grants you like some kind of tax reduction over a specific number of years, but it's for innovative startups in general. So again, it's not like specific made for games, but video games company can take advantage of that as well, which is not bad. I recall also having a note program called Tunisian Game Factory, if I'm not mistaken, and it used to help in the very, very early stage of the pre-production. It's like a pre-production fund with about $10,000 reward in the end. And it was unfortunately discontinued. I believe like always one of the hardest phases of development for video game is the early stage, is when you really just have the concept and nothing developed. So something like that should be restored, hopefully. So this is what exists in terms of let's say the public picture of the industry here. For the private part, it's as hard as the public part, or even harder. Again, like Ruslan said, it's always a high-risk investment, still considered as a high-risk investment for most investors, because we were like discussing prior to officially starting the webinar that's like the fact that gaming development cycle can be quite long, make the investors kind of impatient, and the fact that the developed deliverable are not like reusable in some other kind of product, similarly to, for example, a regular software development where you can like somehow repackage the thing and sell it elsewhere. So these things makes it harder to find like a private investor in the sector, but there is always still hope, I'd say. Yeah.
For my side, I really don't have expertise in this part because I'm more active in the competitive part of video games, not in the creation of video games. But I thank you guys for inspiring me and giving me knowledge in this part.
Ashraf, your mic, I guess, is cut. Yeah.
Muted.
Okay. I will go next. Thank you. I think Tunisia government should support and collaborate with the clubs, university, and teacher student as well as investing in their skill and talent, will contribute to the growth of game development industry and economy in Tunisia. And I believe we should invest more in this field that will make big growth even in a game development company in Tunisia.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to just add a little bit, just to clarify. I think clarification in the sense that what the government is doing here, actually the Malaysian government is quite robust in how they're helping and it's very specific to the games industry. So they have set a vision where they do help directly to games companies as well as animation companies. There's like the two very strong pillars that they're helping out. And the funding that they give out for game companies is quite well structured in the sense that they have small grants like $5,000 to $10,000 grants for startups, all the way up to production grants like I guess like $300,000, $400,000 also grants. And I think there are higher grants, but I have not reached that point to know more. But I assume there are. But yeah, I think the government has I think it's not just for the games industry, but also for like animation, for other tech companies as well. They are pushing the narrative of like growing the tech industry. I think Malaysia being a small country, we do value like high value or high growth industries like tech like this, like tech and creative industry like this, and they do structure grants and like a path for companies to grow this way. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So next question regarding the stigma. So there has always been a stigma that games industry does not provide a clear career path. However, today we are seeing talents being paid top dollar to either work on AAA game dev projects or even become esports champions. So how would you encourage parents and youth to participate in your respective industries?
Okay, I will answer the esports part here. So even my small kids and small sister playing Fortnite and those video games, and always you hear parents saying like, get out of this hell machine and find homework and do it, right? For the school. But then the moment we started to see that the Fortnite World Cup, which I believe was happening 3 years ago, offered a huge prize pool, right? Maybe like $30 million or something. Parents themselves, they were like, you know what, skip the school, find yourself a teacher and become a professional Fortnite player. And the same thing happens with us when we organize tournaments. So let's say 10 years ago, we noticed that parents were asking us, like, are our kids spending too much time playing video games because they have exams? Now the questions became different. Do you think there is a purpose to keep our kid developing? Like, do you think he have the ability to become a champion? So they started to understand that this is not just a way of wasting your time or just a habit, but it's a career. So you can build a career, you can earn money from playing games competitively. Whether you are the player or a coach or a manager, professional gaming is a serious business. And the game industry in general is very big. It's about 150 billion. It's more than movies and music combined. So in the part of esport, players are earning, their organizations are earning. Yes, it's a risky business model because the top tier game and the top tier teams are very few who are sharing the majority of the prize pool. But still, even on the grassroots level or the amateur level, there is some sort of sustainable business with the leagues. And now with the government recognizing esport as an official sport, and currently even the national Olympic committees in several countries are supporting this. In the future, we will see federation getting fund from their Ministry of Sport or whatever governing body is there. And those players will be supported with salaries, just like any other league, just like the NFL, the NBA, or so on. So this is for the players and esport. For the other part, I leave it for the expert.
I guess just my opinion on this is that game development or making games itself, it's a professional industry, right? I think the stigma just comes from us making like a product that is too fun for people to play, right? but the mechanism behind providing this games, right? It might look childish, but there's 100 people who work behind making that game, right? And that's a professional enterprise. There are business people, there are economists, there are 3D artists, right? There are 2D artists, there's engineers, there's accountants, there's HR managers, there's operations manager. Yeah, it's a business, right? So as any business and as any scalable business with huge amount of money moving through it, it has to be done in a very professional way. So I guess it's like, yeah, this definitely a career path here. Games industry is not actually new. It's been like, I guess at this point, like 40 years plus. I know it's hard for me to say, but it's like, yeah, it's been there. It's been growing continuously. It's not something that has been stagnant as well. And there's like so much. I think it's one of the few industries where, at least for my other companies in Malaysia, other game companies in Malaysia, like when I meet them, I don't feel that they're competitors because the market is so huge and each of us are making products which are so different. It's one of the few industries where if I meet a fellow game developer, I don't feel they are a competitor. It's like, hey, how is your game doing, right? It's like, it's such a huge industry and it's being run professionally. So yeah, definitely career chances, ways to make money. Yeah, it's all there.
I think I will go next.
Yeah.
Okay, being a pro player is the same for me, like being a football player. Tunisia did really well. We were one of the best on the first country in the Arabic world to make games that people all around the world love it. We didn't just play games, we took gaming seriously. Tunisia even created an official esports federation. Our player also competed in big tournament for games like League of Legends, FIFA, CSGO. It made our country proud in the national and international competition. So being a pro player is unofficially in Tunisia.
Okay, so I guess I won't add much, but I think again the idea is that I actually believe like one of the most characteristic of the gaming industry is quite the opposite. It's actually one of the most industries that combines a very diverse roles because let's say aside of the typical roles for each company, you're gonna have like an administrative department, you're gonna have like finance, HR, and so on. So these are jobs that are also obviously exist in any video game company. But you also don't just have, let's say, comparing to a typical software development company, for example, where you can only find, let's say, developers, testers, or maybe like a UI designer or a UX designer, something like that. For the video games, you can actually find, it actually combines the engineering and the art. So you can also find the concept artist, you can find the 3D artist, you can find the writers, you can find the voice actors, the actors themselves. For example, we do work on narrative video games, we do motion capture, and we need actors, we need voice actors, we need writers, we need producers. So these are roles that are not common for people. When they hear video games, they have this instant reflex of maybe, especially I guess the generations like basically our parents, video games for them is equal to hyper casual mobile game, which is not always the case. It's not like diminishing the value of the hyper casual games, but it also to say that there is a variety of genre in the video games. It's not limited to a specific genre, and with each genre you have a varieties of roles and people behind who developed such a product. So yeah, I really encourage people to discover the roles that are behind creating video games, and they would be definitely surprised of how much thing someone can go to or learn or discover to contribute in creating a video game.
All right, so I think your answer will pivot very nicely into our next segment of questioning, which is more on talent. So talent has always been the key success factors in the thriving game industry. So what are the challenges faced by your respective regions with regards to talent? Do you rely more on foreign or local talents?
Yeah, go Sharzan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think the industry, at least in Malaysia right now, is the game companies are growing, right? So the industry itself is nascent in Malaysia. It's still fresh. It's still new. So there's a lot of knowledge that is not readily available within the industry, right? So if you were talk about like, I need a senior art director who can like set the vision for a AA or like a III indie studio, like indie project, right? We do not have like someone experienced enough to say, yes, I can do that yet, right? I mean, there are very few, but they are still in other companies and stuff, right? So what happens is, like for example, like what we do in Kaigan is we kind of expanded out of Malaysia quite early, because one thing I realized was, why do I need to only hire in Malaysia when like the neighboring countries in Southeast Asia is like there's so much talent around, right? And like we speak mostly the same language and we are mostly the same culture. So there's no really reason not to hire. So we have a substantial, like nearly 40% of our company is based off in Indonesia. And that is kind of expanded, that philosophy is kind of expanded to where now we just started hiring from Singapore, from India, and also from Philippines, because it's like talent is there. And the more you grow, the needs for you, like the tech needs or the artistic needs that you need from, might not be from your home country. And I think it's like having the change in philosophy of hiring is like, yeah, we can work from home. And most of my team is like working from home because, and like COVID happened, and the whole thing is like, yeah, half the team is like, we never see them like maybe once a year or something, right? So yeah, that is what we do for talent. Like, it's like we do not stop ourselves from hiring just from our country, but it's from the region, and the region is keep on expanding for now. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost similar here. Maybe the main difference is like, when we talk about the talent, we have to talk about the what creates this talent. It's usually, and there are like usually two paths. You either have like public or private universities that teach things related to art and video games, which are still quite few in Tunisia. We have some decent universities, but I believe they're not enough, and they need to be pushed more in terms of quality of teaching and technology. And also there are the lone wolves, and then most of the game developers, I believe they are lone wolves. Mostly they are like freelancers. They work from home, especially with all the COVID thing that made this more acceptable worldwide. So for us, in particular, as a company, we do mostly hire locals, but we have like this training side that we do try to complete, especially when we firstly hire someone, because we do not have like people, like it's rare to find people who are like quite matching the pipeline that you are working with, the technology that you are working with. So you have to still do this training part. Of course, we have some good relation with the universities that are teaching video games, and we are mostly collaborating on reducing this integration time to video game companies, I'd say, so they can like sync what's been taught in gaming school and what's been needed in video game studios locally. But yeah, like mostly our local talents, but we are still like open to hire people worldwide. Like Shahrizad said one more time, it's like the global trend of having like a remote work made it possible for everyone to collaborate online, basically.
In terms of competitive gaming, so if we compare it as a sport with other traditional sport, let's say like football, European leagues and South African leagues are way ahead than the ones in the Arab world, because they started investing in them decades ago. But for esport, because it's a new industry, somehow there is similar level of professionalism because they were able to experience the same game and technology at the same timeline. So we can see world champions coming from the Arab world in games like FIFA, Dota, and Clash Royale, in Rocket League, and we can see players that are on top of the game even in different platforms, for fighting game, for mobile platforms. So we still sometimes rarely see that they rely on foreign experience when it comes maybe to a coach, someone who has been coaching a tier one team playing for millions of dollars, and they want to develop their internal team to have this mindset of the champion. But in terms of skill as a talent, I think they are somehow or equal. Maybe the only exception will be in rare games like StarCraft, which is a real-time strategy that is very familiar in Korea. This is where you find like the top players that can make up to 300 actions per minute, which means he's able to calculate how the units will go, how he will build an army, what time of attack and reverse he have to do. But in general, talents in esport are not required to be external. And in terms of operation, we also see that broadcasters, programmers, league operators, game administrators, community managers, all those are also local available with a huge experience. And even many of the Arab talents are working for international events aboard. So it's the opposite. It's they export sometime from the Arabs to go internationally because in the MENA region, we have a huge youth population. So out of 400 million citizens, we have approximately like 35% that are considered youth. So that's my version of the talent here.
Joby, anything you'd like to add or no?
Yes, yes. I will add more about what she had said about talent in Tunisia and how it should be. I am also with working with local talent, investing in them and providing education, getting them into a right direction as significant investment and victory to create for creating a skilled professional in our country and in our region.
All right, thanks, you. So we'll move on to the next segment of questioning. This is actually more targeted towards esports and competitive gaming. So I think more for you, Mr. Said. So esports and competitive gaming are big touch points for a wider audience to understand the games industry, both from a game development angle, including careers and technical expertise required to build game IPs, and from appreciation of game industry from a social and entertainment angle. So what are your thoughts on the esports industry in 2023 and beyond, either from your perspective in your respective region or general observation of market trends?
Yeah, I think the investment has definitely tripled due to COVID when everyone was sitting at home and consuming entertaining content, whether movies or video games. This became a very big boost for esport because some traditional sport league, let's say like the NBA and like the NHL and even car racing, they switched to sports simulator games. So they created league where they recruit players to participate in video games equivalent to the traditional sport. So for NBA, they played the NBA 2K. For NHL, they did the same. Even the FIA or the International Motorsport Federation creating several racing with video games that simulate Formula or Rally. And this definitely about the attention of many brands, and they started to spend their marketing budget there. So the attention and the awareness was multiplied. And this built an appetite that once they saw the big result in their KPI, they saw there is a lot of viewership and engagement. They wanted to continue that post-COVID era. So this also created new revenue streams for all this ecosystem. And we started to see government embracing that further. Even governments like in Saudi Arabia, they set an entire vision for 2030 and dedicated $40 billion to invest in the video game sector. $40 billion is more than several countries' GDP, you know? So it's a huge business, it's a huge investment and opportunities. And with the recognition of this sector and with the fund coming from government and brands already know that there are valuable trajectory and high ROI in their spending, it's obviously like a very big opportunity that will scale not only from the video game but to other sectors around it. Just like Ashraf said that many people work around the video game just to support it. So from developers to actors, voiceover artists, you name it, all those localization, legal, because to produce a game, to create it, to ship it, and to sell it, it's a huge amount of job titles, maybe like 60 job titles you have from A to Z.
Anyone would like to add anything, or we can move on to the next question?
Yes, I will add. Okay. I think we are far behind in the sports field compared to China and South Korea. There are universities and programs that teach students how to become pro players. They have a coach and instruct program that ultimately produce professional player. Therefore, in our region, we should begin investing in creation opportunity for students to study esports at the university level, teach them how to be a pro player and be a talent compared with other people talent.
All right, so we're going to touch a bit about earnings for competitive gaming, because the rise of Web3 gaming and digital assets has led to an alternative view of earning income while playing games. Of course, everyone knows about Axie Infinity. So previously, the monetization model for playing games would have been either through streaming platforms such as Twitch or direct competitive gaming or professional esports play. So what do you think will be the role that Web3 or blockchain have to play in competitive gaming in the next few years? Shah, you look like you want to answer.
No, I'm just going to suggest Said to answer that because it's up his alley.
Okay.
I couldn't hear well the question. There was some
okay.
dropping. If you could repeat.
Okay, so yeah, I'll repeat again. So basically, we are talking about a rise of Web3 gaming and digital asset, and that's led to an alternative space of earning income while playing game. So previously, monetization would either be through streaming platforms such as Twitch or direct competitive gaming and earning prizes from esports play. So what do you think will be the role of incorporating Web3 or blockchain in competitive gaming in the next few years?
Well, to be honest, I still lack awareness enough about how Web3 can be monetizing in esports. I understand what is blockchain. I understand what is cryptocurrency, but I still don't see how this actually create different value. Yes, you can create virtual experience by creating, let's say, like a virtual game for a specific brand where players can go compete and have some monetization and get in-game item and NFT and specific items. But I still don't see the full picture there. Maybe it's my misunderstanding, or maybe there is potential that is not yet unlocked, or we didn't see some very useful cases there. That's my input about it.
Yeah, I think it's just like the vision of many Web3 companies was like, we can make a game where the digital asset has value across multiple games, right? Like you can bring it from one game and it still holds its value. It can be traded. I think that was the dream that was being showed for investors and for players, right, for the past few years, I guess. But I'm not sure. Again, I think I agree with Said, is that I think the value that is the dream and the actual value of players actually engaging with it, I think there's still a gap in that. So yeah, I think it's interesting to see. Again, like I'm not in the competitive side of things. That's why I was like, I wanted to see what Said wanted to say. But like he's also is like, we don't see the value yet. So it's interesting for me. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
It's too much popularity, or let's say content around it, but not yet, not something to observe as a value.
Yeah, like I guess the high concept idea is interesting, right? It's like a good mind exercise, I guess, but like practically, I guess it's like it's still ways to go, I guess.
Okay, so we are almost running out of time. So let's go on to the last segment of this questioning before we go to Q&A session. So talking about the future of the games industry. So right now we are seeing many new technologies being actively embraced. Besides Web3 and blockchain, we also have things like extended reality, artificial intelligence, procedure generation, and so on. So what's your view of the new technologies as opportunities to revolutionize and enhance the gaming experience, and how can we keep up?
Okay, I will again answer from the esport part of the story. So with artificial intelligence come in hand to enhance how the players can perform better by analyzing what they are doing inside the game and then compare it to what other professional players were doing at the same scenario. So video games is simply thinking out of the box to solve a specific problems with a fast response between all your input body like the eye and let's say the hearing, and how you will then extract it through your output, let's say fingers or tongue with for people of disabilities. So with AI comes the method of what you did wrong and how you can perform better. And second, other technologies could enhance the experience of players with the rise of virtual headsets and they becoming cheaper and more affordable. We will see new competitive gaming with VR headset. There was one trial, I think 2 years ago by ESL. They created the VR League. So players basically, instead of playing shooting game like like Counter-Strike or Valorant, they were playing specific games made for VR headset where you also include some movement in your body. So you're actually moving on a treadmill, and you are trying to aim and shoot and crouch and stand up. So you are uh, combining both the mind sport with some physical sport into this digital environment. And I believe this will be the future enhancement for competitive gaming in terms of viewer experience. They will be able to see different type of game. Spectators, they will be able to select in which virtual setting they will be inside the map. It's already available in games like Dota, but this will be different experience because you will have 360 degree viewing of the virtual map that you are in instead of just the same point of view that your broadcaster wanted you to watch.
I think from gaming development perspective, like the topic is more controversial because it touches directly the jobs of the people. So as you may know now, there are like AI tools to create concept arts, to create scripts, to create even 3D models and stuff. That I've seen recently a tool creating entire games based on text description. So things are pretty controversial, and there are like IP issues and all this fight between mainly artists and the creators of these tools. It really, like reminds me of the first like industrial revolution. Like, without like the machines and like people were used to doing things by hand, and everyone has been like, oh, now the machines are gonna like take our jobs, and I think really the solution is to embrace these tools. Really, they are just tools. I don't believe that they will replace a human at any certain point. So if someone is an artist, he just like better learn how to use these tools to create better results or outputs. I don't think that they will be replacing human, but will just like help anyone doing their work in a better way, hopefully, with all like keeping in mind one more time, is just a tool. So in the, I think it's gonna like change a lot of things. There are a lot of maybe jobs that they will disappear, but I think it's for the good. I think they're not gonna like disappear, but more of like switch. So it's not like something like they're like a new job that emerged with AI that we've never heard of before, like how to, like how to train certain AI to create a specific output and stuff. So I think it's just like a new way and a new tool of creating thing, and it's not like replacing the human by any mean.
I guess like games industry is one of those industries where not any, like it's very open to new technologies, right? And I think being developers, we are extremely hyped and interested, and like we want to explore new stuff, right? So when like Web3 itself, right, was where was it like experimented the most? It was in games, right? Like it can be applied to a lot of other things, but it was used for games. And if you talk about AR, VR, mixed reality, all of that is being like, it can be used for any other tool, but no, it's like primarily used and experimented on and developed by game developers. So yeah, like AI as well. Yeah, of course, it's being used in a lot of places, but again, when it's being used it's definitely being applied and like tried by many studios, because again, I think what Jihad was saying, I agree, is like AI itself is not going to replace jobs, right? Replace artists or writers, but it's just another tool. And I think it's just like, I think the fear of AI was just like, as anything new that comes up, people are usually cautious about it. I think that was just a reaction towards that. But yeah, I think to say that games industry itself extremely open for new tech, and I think the more the industry experiments with it, like we find new ways to utilize tech in like fantastic new ways. And I think the line between entertainment of it just being games is being blurred more and more, especially with when you see like what Epic is doing with how they are, how they shoot their movie tech, right, with the Unreal Engine, and they have these LED screens and stuff like that. It's like I can see that being developed and assisted by game developers, because it's literally a 3D environment. And you see this blurring of lines with the animation as well. I mean, 3D animation, some of it is being rendered real time right now because the tech and like the software is just so advanced at this point. So yeah, it's very interesting times. And yeah, games is one of the things where we lead in tech adoption, right? Yeah.
Any more comments from Joby or Said?
Yes. I believe that AI has two sides. It can speed up work process and save time for company and people. But on the other hand, we see people losing their jobs because of AI.
All right, so I think that's all the time we have for the moderated questions. So I believe now we open the floor for Q&A from our attendees. If there's any question and answer, is there any question from the attendees? Okay, looks like there's no questions from the attendees. So ladies and gentlemen, now we've reached the end of the webinar. So thank you very much once again to our panelists for participating. So this session was really amazing and very informative. For all the people joining, there will be a new theme about the gaming industry in November, inshallah. So please do not forget to follow the website and social media platforms to know more about our upcoming session and themes. Thank you, and it was a pleasure having you with us today. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Amir, and nice meeting you, Shahrazar, Ashraf, and Jihad. Looking forward to meet you next time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet everyone.
Bye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.